we are here for the very 8th Back Pocket Game Club segment now, I suppose. The Game Club is where we pick a game to play through on stream with the community each and every month, and then at the end of the game, we talk about what we think about the game, break it down as much as we want in full spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled for the plot of Sifu, then stop watching now. But seriously,
it's not very plot heavy.
No. We actually, in the break, we were talking about all the things they could have done with the plot that would have made it more interesting. The February Back Pocket Game Club title was Sifu, a brawler action, almost roguelike, where the main character is aging almost as fast as I am. And speaking of people who aren't letting age slow them down, the Game Club is brought to you by Vegabus. Yeah. Thank you, Vegabus, for your continued support, not only of our right to party, but also our right to argue about whether or not Sifu is good game design. I was lead on the game this month. Let's see how I went. Heavy attacks. Why?
What the?
Deflect and parry.
Now you know too much.
Oh no, I know all the food, Kung and otherwise. I am going to absolutely wreck you. I love the multiple pokes. This hallway sucks. Oh, fuck yes. God damn, this music is so good. There's hotties in here. Forget about it. Oh, God, I thought you were bad guys. Oh, God, I'm so sorry. Oh, I didn't realize. Ooh. I miss clubbing. Oh. No death. 2 stages. The fuck was that? Who throws a sword? Oh. When we're next at PAX, I'm pinning all of you to the floor between my legs. Okay, so we may make it out of this phase. Or that might just happen. Holy shit. Oh my God. Okay, so... Oh, don't jinx it again, Nick. Don't jinx it. Good. Second phase done. I would love if that's actually the end of the fight. But I mean... That's gonna be annoying. Fuck. Oh, yeah. Okay. We did it. We saw credits. And that was the extent of the plot.
I kept wanting to do this. Slow clap. Because it was by
Slow clap.
Good ref.
There
Oh
it
my
is.
goodness. Angus. Been weeks sitting on that.
So weeks. Last time we spoke about Sifu, I was hot on it. Pete was cold on it. Gus Goldilocks himself between the two of us.
Always do.
And Steph, you hadn't played it yet. Scotty, neither had you. Now that you have, let's start with you. What did you think of Sifu?
Well, I mean, oh, thank you. Sorry.
The whole team. Allow us to.
I'll be over at midday to lift your desk, ma'am.
Are your jeans high enough?
I went into it kind of knowing how I would feel about it just based on the conversations that we'd had in the previous week. I think it's just not my kind of game where it doesn't have, many accessibility options and difficulty options to kind of... I would have just loved a few sliders. Do you know what I mean? I don't necessarily need to make it super easy, but like...
Little health up.
Yeah,
health
because
down
and especially if it's the kind of thing where it's like, well, you're going to have to replay this whole thing in order to be able to get to a point where you're not going to die later on and not be able to progress, that kind of thing. So, it's not really a game that's for me in terms of the way that it is structured, but I think for me it was really cool to get a sense of like, I guess the combat, and what I think it does so beautifully is the style. Like it really feels like it references film a lot in the way that the camera moves, and I love the fact that it feels like it's designed in a way that makes you feel like you have I don't know the name of a director who does amazing films like this, but following you around as you're kind of moving through the game.
Right, okay.
And that's a really cool feeling where you feel like it's not just like a kind of like behind the head shot as you kind of like figure yourself out, as you're kind of moving through these really kind of stylish martial arts moves. You're creating something that feels really spectacular.
You always feel like a
regardless,
badass.
you always feel like a badass, yeah. And I think that was great. I was a little bit bummed by the fact that there wasn't more of a story to it. I think as it is, I'm not invested in this style of gameplay being so heavily focused on you just kind of getting good by playing it repeatedly over and over. For me, not to have the motivation of a story beyond just a very sort of quick look at this happened and now you want revenge. And then there was also just the fact that like all the way through, even just the general voice lines that you would hear from characters and NPCs, it seemed like there weren't many and you were hearing the same ones over and over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
And there were also like weirdly some Irish accents, lots of American accents.
Yeah.
Like a sort of, where are we?
Within the first fight, I heard, she can't keep up, like 7 times.
We just started.
Or you know, just stuff like that. Or like, you're going to regret this.
Yeah.
Like over and over. And I'm like, I'm already regretting it.
From our Discord, Calistri commented on the Games Club channel there saying, having a lot of fun in Sifu. I tend to enjoy roguelikes as a rule. Don't think I've seen a good beat 'em up in the genre, which is definitely a good point. Also, I like that you can dodge a weapon attack and it'll hit someone else nearby.
Yeah.
Gus, you do like beat 'em up brawler style games. And you like roguelikes. You had not finished the game last time. Have you finished it since then?
No, I to continue your Goldilocks analogy, I kept going back to the too hot porridge, but I couldn't get through it. It was still too hot. I went back. I was warm on the game, and for everything that Steph said, I echo about the style. I feel a little ashamed because I felt like this was going to be my game this year.
Yeah.
Really
It looks like it's the kind of game that you would really.
And I love brawlers, but I think the thing I love about brawlers is the arcadeness of them and feelings, and like how easy they actually are, and how overpowered you are as you take on, you know, waves and waves of enemies.
Yeah.
And so running into that difficulty curve, I wasn't ready for it in the way I am for an Elden Ring or something like, or a roguelike that's like this. I'm going to fail at this run, so I need to get better. So in that sense, I went back. I got up to it got more and more stylish the more I played, which really hurt me because once I got to the museum level, I fucking loved the art installations and everything in there. I was so into that.
I was going to say, because like you got to where I got to. I kind of fell off at the
I got
museum.
to her, the boss at the end, and I couldn't beat her.
Oh, okay, good.
and-
So you went through the whole like trippy. Yeah.
Oh, and I was like, while I was doing that, even though I was struggling, I was like, I'm going to finish this.
Yeah.
And then I got to her as a boss, and I really hated that fight, and I wasn't good at it, and I couldn't get. Every time I kept getting near the end of this fight, I was so old, and I was just like, I'm not. I sucked at Sekiro, not to draw a tangent between it, but a game that wants you to play differently and be smarter about your combat, where I get stubborn and I just want to fight them all.
Yeah.
I want to arcade. I want to Ninja Turtles in Time, just bash my way through it. I don't want to step back, read the fight. I want to. I suck at it. And so, like I said the first time, getting to the end, near the end of this fight, I was really upset that I put it down and I couldn't continue on. I have since gone through and just watched a scrub through to see what is there beyond that. But I couldn't bring myself to get good at it. And I think for the points that Steph made about difficulty and all that, I'm intrigued to see what Slow Clap do. As they've mentioned, they're bringing out an easier mode.
Yeah, they are bringing out.
And a little part of me thinks like that will really make me feel happy in the way that I like a brawler. I like to go in and just absolutely dominate it and feel really overpowered. And I wasn't prepared for it to have the difficulty here. And
But it's not even like, I like challenge, and I like to feel like I can get through a level and not just annihilate everyone. But I also don't want to have to
I think the
be
difference would
punished.
be resetting the room you're in and just
Yeah.
and then checkpoint,
to have to go
finish the
back
game
to
that
the
way.
start.
Yeah, actually, sorry, I should mention that is what I really want this. I hope what they do with the difficulty is like, I know it's removing a very clever and interesting mechanic.
Totally.
If they take out the age mechanic,
You can,
and just
or
make it.
you can make it. You start as 20 at every level that you start as.
I
so
was
then you
thinking
have
even
the-
simpler than that, and just be like, it's a game where when you fail a room, you restart that room, and you keep playing it until you beat everyone in that room, and you get to the next checkpoint. Make it strictly linear, and I think some people would really enjoy that experience. Keep the difficulty, maybe. Make it like you have to get really good at it, but when you fail, you can pick up from where you are. It's not that whole age reset system, which
Do you
I think was really clever.
But do you think without the age reset system, which is kind of what makes this game like quite unique and stuff, is it like
What does it have?
what does it have?
I think you would get
It's
good
stylish.
at the fighting.
It's stylish.
You would get good at the fighting, but there wouldn't be the penalty that there is now of, okay, I'm halfway through a level.
I think it
and
would need a
fucked up
better
too many
story.
times.
I think for sure.
I actually really liked. I like the
also-
simplicity of it, and
I mean, it was the repetition that was
that's
the
what I
problem.
mean. If it took out the chance to go back and have to,
But no,
do stages better.
but you still have to do it again. I don't want to do that. Like I will repeat something if there is a sense of progress outside of the room that I'm in. Whether I can take new things into the next fight. And yes, in this you can grind out leveling up new abilities
yeah, by buying them permanently.
by buying them permanently and then taking them on the next run. And that definitely helps. Like that definitely is a progression system that's built into the game because it is easier to take out some of the tougher guys with some of the abilities. I've watched people do speed runs of this whole game in like 27 minutes or something now. And it's like they've got the ability to throw people off balcony ledges.
Yeah, right.
So they just like kite in the rooms where there's heaps of people, kite them up to the room, throw, which is where you're kind of like you're beating the game
You've-
as
yeah.
opposed to
You've brute forced
mastering
it.
the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, like the fall off, I don't think would be fixed by removing the age system or letting you replay. I just like
I don't think
I
fixed,
want
just think,
I
yeah,
want
it's
different. For me, I wanted different ways to approach combat where it all, even with like new melee abilities, it was just another melee ability in a and do the exact same thing again and try not to get hit as much.
yeah. I just don't think I would have tired it as much if I didn't have to. When I say the age mechanic, I mean the age mechanic of get to the end of that level with a decent age, which then if you don't, you go back and play that whole stage again.
Yeah.
That's the repetitiveness for me that I didn't like, but I think I could do a traditional repeating stage.
Repeating a room or something.
Room, get through. And it would go behind me, I would move on, and I would be like, regardless of I might have bashed my head against a wall or someone else's, it's like once I'm through it, I keep moving on, and I might have gotten better at a certain move, and I would have kept the momentum to get to the end.
Yeah.
I know that feels like a step backwards from what they were going for, but I think if that was there, I think I would have just had more traditional fun with it, because it just didn't gel with me in terms of I couldn't get past that.
And I feel like that's a big question, right? It's like, did they successfully make the game they set out to? And I think the answer is yes. It just
It's
doesn't
total
work.
preference.
I
Total
just,
preference.
I just
Like,
don't think it works for most people. But for the people that does work for, it's exactly right. And is that where you feel like you are, Nick?
I think we had this conversation a bit last time, but can you guys talk about how it is different from Dark Souls in that that is also a game where you lose progress and have to
Well, Dark
repeat?
Souls is an RPG. You can go and you have a different path you can take.
Yeah, right.
There's typically more than one direction you can be heading at any given time. So if you get stuck one way, go another way. You'll find another way, and you can level up. You can choose to I don't have enough health. I don't have enough stamina. You can put some time into leveling that up. So it
Because
literally
you were saying
is
with this,
better.
you're stuck with the build, aren't you?
Yeah, so if you bring up Acciton, number 3, their card actually answers this question. Who says, in Dark Souls, it doesn't matter if you bleed out 3 seconds after landing the killing blow, a win is a win. And in roguelikes, no matter what you're doing, if you win, you at least get progress forward to see more game. But here, if you kill a boss age 71, yes, you could go into the next level and explore somewhat, but it feels pointless. So the first thing you have to do after winning is go right back and fight them again and again to do better. and then goes on to say, this was my experience with every boss fight except for the first, particularly bad against the CEO, which is the fourth boss, who is such a glass cannon. It feels like you either steamroll her or get crushed under her heel, and it's such a tedious boss run, and forget it if you want all 3 shrines. So that's the big difference of like,
Right, yeah,
like
okay.
you can scrape your way through a Dark Souls boss fight, but when you come out the other end, it's like, cool, I'm at the same power as
you
I
go
was
and
when I went
pot
in there.
Yeah,
Whereas
okay,
here it's
yeah.
like,
You made
okay,
it, and
I
yeah.
mastered that. Now I need, or like I got through that. Now I need to master it.
Which is such a, for me, such a shit feeling. I really got angry at myself. Like, why am I still doing this?
Yeah.
Oh, and it would be that thing of I'm making mistakes, so I'd get clumsy. The age would go up. I'd get clumsier. I would finish
Yeah,
it. I'd be
right.
74, and I'm like,
It's like it's like you did it, but it wasn't good enough.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
it's so
can't
So a lot of
You
people in
can't
chat
take any
being like,
joy in
I'm
the
too much.
wins.
People in chat were like, I'm too much of a perfectionist to play this game.
Yeah.
So yes, the game's trying to make you be a perfectionist, but it's also demanding it.
Yeah.
So
I think it's interesting because I still really love it. And despite all of its flaws, and I do think that, and I went through them before, but like the shrine system is cool in the upgrades, but terrible in the permanency of if you want to reset those shrines, you need to go run the game again. And if you are like, if you have done well in the game and like me, get into level stage 3 at age 20, you cannot reset the shrines from stages 1 and 2 because it will not override them. It only overrides them when you get a younger age. So I was stuck with the build that I had. Luckily, it was a pretty good build, but it's still like, oh, if you want to experiment, you can only experiment moving forward, and some of those things get locked out the older you get and that sort of thing. So that's frustrating and annoying. For me, I think something I know about myself is that I really love games where, like we've all said, getting better at them is the progression. But I also like these games where it is like, there's something in front of me that I just need to like puzzle my way through here. And if I can get through that, then it feels really good. I think the difference here is that where we all have that, but all 3 of you were like, I just didn't want to go back and do it again. I think for me, the combat clicked in a way where I was like, oh, I'm seeing really rapid progression in terms of like,
I was watching your stream. Like you picked it up really well.
like
And,
it clicked in a weird
way
for
that
me.
made
Yeah.
me. And I don't mean this bad. Like I got competitive. I'm like, if you can do it, then hopefully. And I couldn't. I
Yeah.
kept going, and I kept making the same dumb mistakes and getting really frustrated.
And I think
So
if it didn't
respect
click
to you
in
on
the
that.
same, if it didn't click for me as it didn't for you, I think I would find it very frustrating. Going
And I've
back.
heard a lot of people struggling with the parries, the dodge system and stuff. And they're like, I didn't get it in the first hour, and I'm 7 hours in, and I'm still making mistakes I was making the first hour. So I feel like it definitely has a vibe that
For me, I went back and I leveled 21 the first, age 21, the first mission and made one stupid mistake in the boss fight to die, which I shouldn't have made. And know that I could go on level 20 and age 20 that. But I still felt like even at that point in the game when I'd played like 7 or 8 hours or something, I was like, I had the parry timing down pretty well. I was dodging. I was parrying more than I was dodging, and I was learning that dodging was probably going to be more effective.
Yeah.
Playing if I wanted to play deeper into the game, but particularly the second boss is just all dodge and it's dodge patterns. And the first boss is too. But I would still find that it felt like I was cheated by the game in the mob rooms.
Yeah.
I was like, I fucking blocked that. And like once you feel like you've gotten on top of that, to then have it, and maybe it was like I kept going like, is it my controller? Like the whole time I was playing, even that far in, I was like, something doesn't feel right about the combat to me. It never gelled. And I felt like I had it. It said no, and I was like, no, fuck you. I totally.
I found even
I did
early.
what you asked me to.
I found
like
even
that you got
early
angry
on.
at the game, and I'm like, I'm doing it wrong. I'm beating myself up, and Peter's like, the game's broken.
Well, you know, like
Yeah, yeah, no, I know the
coming
feeling,
from
yeah.
a Dark Souls game where I never feel like that. I always feel like it's my fault in Dark Souls. And in this game, I was like, half the time I felt like the game did something, and I was like, fuck you.
Yeah.
That's not how that works. Like, I've learned how that works, and it didn't. And so maybe it's my controller.
Maybe
That's
that was
what I kept thinking.
Maybe it was my controller. I just didn't make the jump, and I'm like, beat myself up over nothing.
I feel like early on when I was trying to kind of learn the combat, and I even went into the little training room in the dojo, and I tried to kind of practice and get good in those senses. It was like the mob rooms are where I kind of wanted to be able to learn to sort of do different moves beyond just your heavy and light attacks and stuff like that. But every time I tried, if I missed the kind of up, down, Y or whatever, then I would get attacked and then I would die. And I was like, I just wasted a life trying to nail and trying to work out a move. And I was like, that's frustrating.
Yeah, totally. And
that should be, you should give me time to be able to get good at diversifying my combat, so I'm not just scared all the time and just sticking to the same two moves because I don't want to open myself up to attack.
Which is where the
and
game
that
asks you
pissed
to-
me off as well.
It's where the game asks you to, all right, go and do a run where that's literally you're going to do that. Fail, and for me that's not fun gameplay to go and grind.
No.
To go and grind like that. To go, okay, I got to go and learn how to play the game better.
But by its rules, not
yeah.
Yeah.
Boo.
It's interesting. I think you're right. It is totally one of those things of like, if it clicks, then because I was just happy to go through those again because it felt like I was just perfecting the thing. It was like, and then I'd screw up. I was like, damn. It's like when I'm trying to get a good run in Spelunky or something, and you make a mistake, and you're like, damn it. Okay, just start that again. And it wasn't. Wasn't oppressive for me, but
I mean, this is the nicest way. I wonder if having an audience there to be like, good work, try again, versus having no one around you when you play it solo and going, fuck you, game. Like, if that helps you get...
Potentially,
feel
the
like-
flip side of that, though, was also, like, I was worried. I was like, oh, fuck, if I suck at this, then
the
this
audience-
is a
people are gonna be
massive
like,
pressure
oh,
to just
dead
like
again.
doing this in
Yeah.
front of people.
Yeah.
But if we pivot, because I feel like ending on somewhat of a upbeat note, I loved the level design in a lot of these stages, and I do think, like, the museum is the standout because... And it gets more like this, the further into the game you get, the more it has... The first part of the stage is the normal world, and then the second
trippy.
part is fucking weird. And this was the first one where it really... The other two were kind of like there, but this was the first one where it's like, particularly the striking, the like silhouette color stuff with heading into the boss, all those fights. I was like, I wish that there was a bit more of that, but I loved how unique each of those stages were. And particularly the fourth one, which... is the tower where the CEO is. You basically go in there, you fight through an office building, and it's all very office building, and then you unlock the shortcut, and you hop in an elevator, and that elevator starts plummeting to the ground, and then you end up in a cave system underneath the tower, and it's it's basically like a reverse version of the office building, but all made out of stone, and you're going down instead of up. And all the places where the rooms were are now like rock ledges and stuff, and it doesn't look like it. And it's like, fuck, this is cool. And you start going down into the earth and stuff. And I was just like, I like that. I think that each one of them had a really strong visual identity that made it fun to explore. And
I think there is actually, to its credit, a little bit more story and design, or like than I think can be seen on first appearances. Having to watch the end of it. I actually played through as a female character, but so when I said I watched the ending where they mentioned the word brother,
right.
I was
Okay, yeah.
like, I'm a bit confused because the gameplay I watched through was someone playing as a male. But I didn't realize that a big part of it is not a big part, but the choosing to spare or kill all the people you're going
so there's
after. So I wanted to ask, like, were you vengefully murdering everyone as you went through?
I was doing the murder run of everyone, and then someone in chat was like, "Oh, did you know you can spare them?" And I was like, "I did not know that." So then I went through and did all the fights and spared everybody. And you basically like get up to the second time where you would do the like execute move, and instead of doing it, you just step back and wait. They get a third of their stamina bar back, and then you need to re-break it. And then there's an option to spare them. You spare each one of them in a cool little cutscene, and then at the end, you can spare the boss. It doesn't really change the ending of the game. It's still I found my peace, but I found my peace through letting you know that I could have killed you and I didn't. And
and again, this is Game Club, so we'll spoiler it up. And for everyone who didn't finish it, the idea being that the perfect run where you spare everyone is that you die at the end because you find your character carks it, like falls over and dies because you spared them, and then you find
It's been 84 years.
well, that's the thing. And what I got disappointed watching that last fight,
How does it work? Does the crystal on your belt disappear or something?
no, you from memory. I really should remember this. It was only
I
a
thought
couple
you
of
like
weeks ago.
fell back through a portal or something.
You fall over, but then the game ends and you're now the Sifu teaching people.
there's a little post-credits thing, I think,
Yes,
where they
yeah.
show that. But the idea being is that
The
you
idea
go
being
and
that,
find,
yes.
like, calm because you didn't kill them all, and your master is like, I'm proud of you, even though they killed me kind of thing. The thing I wanted to raise is that I was a little disappointed when it got near the tail end of it and the fantasy of the idea of the aging and the talismans and all this stuff. I I had something in my head and it didn't turn out to be this, which is I thought you should fight the main boss and they should keep coming back older and older and you should keep having to kill them until they're an old man. I was like, I thought that's what would happen.
Well,
Well, like Limbot in chat says, I killed 300 henchmen, but I spared the actual people responsible.
Jeez, that's so true.
With that last boss fight, that boss fight was a bit disappointing
It's been
for me
underwhelming by the
because
looks of it,
it was you go in there and it strips you of all your focus moves, so all you can do is the combat, and the boss has basically the same combat abilities as you.
Sure.
And for me, it was frustrating. It was like, fine, I'll get through it, but again, to that point of like you're locked in your build, the whole game is telling you like focus moves, unlock cool abilities, get those. That's how you're going to beat these people. And so I heavily spec'd into things that regain focus on dodging, increase my focus bar, special focus moves, blah, blah, blah. And then you get to the last boss and they're like, nah, you don't get any of that. And it's like, oh, okay. So if I'd known that, I would run back through this game and respec in just, like, I could do a run of this game to respec in just, like, anything that increases my, not stamina, what's it called? Structure. Because that's what the boss is actually chipping down this one. But I couldn't, because I can't change the first 2 fucking stages of my shrine build, so I'm locked into focus. It's a bit annoying. The final boss is like, oh, you're not the ultimate badass. It's actually, you've taken everything away, and now sure, I need to fight well, but you've changed the expectation of how I play this game. It's interesting. It's totally one of those games that I feel like came out, gripped a lot of people, and then you move away from and people are like thinking about it more and going, oh, I wonder if that was a good thing. For me, I'm definitely like, there are all these flaws to it, but I still loved my experience with the game and I had a blast with it. So it might end up on my top 10 of the year. I don't know. But it definitely was like, fuck, I loved that experience and then putting it away.
It's hard
but
to look at it and have nothing but respect for like how challenging it is, how beautiful it is, how much passion and like, you know, technical skills went into making these combat systems, and then just to like pick it up and be like, oh,
I feel like I love
it.
it in theory and I love looking at it, but in practice, it's not.
I will say it's probably the best opening of a video game we'll get this year, where you're playing as the bad guy. You go and kill the Sifu of the child that you then become and play through the rest of the game as. Like, great opening cutscene, great tone.
Yeah,
like the setup of the game,
and that was such a stylish way to do a tutorial as well,
wasn't it? To be like, here's the fantasy of killing them all, like,
here's all the bosses, and here's their moves. This is what they're going to be doing.
Yeah.
Sean has a stick. She has the whippy thing. You're going to be facing that shit later. Practice.
Although, I do hope that like there's accessibility there for people who struggle with it. I also hope it's there for me so I can turn it on to absolute just like obliterate mode. I can come back from the pub on a Friday, sit down and fall asleep just going, fuck, and just like, just plow through it all and feel like Batman in Arkham. Just I'm so good at this.
The other thing, and tap it up, the other thing they're adding along with the accessibility stuff is that the game's been successful enough that they can afford to get wave mode. The whole game is a wave mode. It's just a reverse wave. You're the wave. Just head through. They're adding Chinese voiceover.
All right.
Which is like good because it is just so confusing. It feels very strange.
It's a game. It's a Western-made game, though.
Yeah, the Western.
Yeah.
They're
It's a hodgepodge of Asian influences. But they are gonna. It is set in China.
Yeah.
And so they're going to add a Chinese voice.
Even this fight sets up like the beginning of like it's like the Kill Bill fight.
Oh yeah,
which
with
is
the snow.
Samurai,
Yeah.
which is like, but it's drawing influence from just a big broad stroke of Asian sort of like culture and cinema. But,
But there you go. That's Sifu.
She kicked my ass.
The last one for Lucas Horatio, who after a couple of days, holy shit, fuck me, can't believe I actually did it, and I popped that plat.
I like that the pockety represents what they would have been in that
So that's good. So to close out the seg, as always in the Game Club, we run a competition where we give away a Game Club notebook, a mug, and a copy of next month's Game Club game, and that means Horizon Zero Dawn. Forbidden West. If you already own Horizon Forbidden West, we'll just buy you a game of your choice. The competition entry was if games. I changed it live. Fuck. What was it? It was.
What age would you want to be when you bought?
If you could pick any age to. Fuck. I changed it
based on the answers.
So I've got
the answers. Hang on, saying they're correct.
The thing is. At what age would you make the best fighter and why? That was the question. We got a lot of fantastic entries. We got 3 runners. Well, actually, we got 4 runners up and a winner. Pete, start us off with the runner up.
Runner up number 1, Jules J, who says, I hate errand. Jules J said, I'd like to be 69. I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Good.
Good answer. Good answer.
Simple.
Gus?
Nice. Runner-up number 2 was Riot, who said the age they'd like to be is 79. At this age, I expect my body parts have been replaced, i.e. metal hips, fake legs, just replace the lot. Then will rise Robo-Granny, ignored by most people until I run them down in my mobility scooter and smack them with my walking cane. If caught, I then pretend to be lost and ask where the closest bingo hole is. Very well done, Riot.
What a lovely detail.
Where am I?
Yeah.
Steph, you've actually got 2 runners up because they're both of a theme.
Oh, okay. The first runner-up here is from Nax Cole. And they have said they would be 5 years old. No one wants to hit a kid, but I was a fucking nightmare.
Personal touch on that one.
Yeah.
And Fourth Reaper says that they would be age 4, but I have a knife. Pure chaos.
Have a knife. So well done to all our runners up. But the winner of the competition, mug, notebook, video game, is Laughing Seal.
Hey.
Well done, Laughing Seal, who says, I would choose to return...
Slow it down.
Slow clap?
Slow clap.
No, but this way like a seal.
Oh, good.
Oh, this is making it the intro.
I would choose to return to the life of an 8-month-old fetus. The reason? Not many people would dare hit a pregnant mother in their 3rd trimester. Correction. Not many people would dare to hit my pregnant mother, a person with a no-nonsense attitude and the mental fortitude required to be a teacher aide in a specialist school. If it does come down to it, she can fight on my behalf while the gang members immediately try to calm her down without resorting to hitting her because they will be terrified by the rage of my pregnant mum. At this point in my development, I am capable of focusing. I can hear noises outside the womb, which means I'm conscious of how my maternal soldier is doing, and I can cheer on through kicking. If she succeeds in her mission, when she gives birth to me, I'll come out clapping, doing my best to give a standing ovation on the cupped hands of the midwife. Bravo, mother. Bravo.
Lovely.
Excellent
Well
work.
done.
Laughing Seal.
I mean, we're coming up with a bit of a pattern here of if you want to win these contests,
Verbose.
write something that's very verbose that Nick can read with that kind of dramatical tone.
I just love the image of a midwife standing there, a little baby with a Sifu beard.
Slow clapping.
Slow clapping.